we gotta stop turning up blind eye to the little small things that financing these things. You understand? Because if a group of youngsters go on thief 11 sheep and sell them to whoever, I want pinpoint nobody, sell them to whoever, and them know these youngsters ain't got no sheep, and then buy these 11 sheep. You understand? That is something looking like near $1,500. $1,500, $7 to $1,000 is a box of shots. You picking sense? You want to start where you going here?
Sure.
Yep. Welcome to Just a Conversation, the podcast where we discuss the topics that matter to you. I'm Michael Alcott, here with Aisha Reed. Today we're talking about crime in Barbados, how it's affecting our communities and especially our youth. From the streets to our schools, violence is becoming all too common. We're joined by a powerful panel today: social worker Sharon-Rose Gittens, Bishop Derick Richards, and community voice Shamar Bernard, to explore how we got here, what we can do, and how we can protect our children from getting caught in the crossfire. Okay, now today's topic is going to be a very interesting one to discuss. Recently we've been getting, for a while I should say, we've been getting a lot of unfortunate news. So today we are joined by our panel who will give a little insight into the different areas and how we can find some solutions. We have Sharon-Rose Gittens, as I mentioned. We have Shamar, and we have Reverend Richards.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. And
Nice.
let's
Good to
start
be here.
with the lady. You could tell us a bit about your background and why this topic is something that matters to you.
Yeah, and I want to say first up, really and truly, thank you for the opportunity to talk about it, have a conversation, and clearly to recognize the importance of having a social worker discuss these topics, because it really bears to the core of what we believe in. Our code of ethics speaks very strongly as relates to social justice, dignity and worth, service, and we also encourage and support the idea that as a social worker, we seek to empower individuals. So we're moving very strongly along with hope, more so than hurt or harm, but to encourage and make sure that persons have that sense of hope. And as you shared earlier, at this point in time, we're having a lot of pain in our community, a lot of deep-seated hurt and discomfort that may be triggered by other hurts and discomforts over the years. So I'm Sharon-Rose Gittens, president of the association, but I'm also coming from a background of nursing in terms of health, and I'm also coming from a background of education. And my study that looked at learned behavior as relates to perpetrators. So it's good to have the conversation. Yeah.
Before we go on to Shamar or Reverend Richards, I know that you mentioned that you had recently written a paper of something similar.
Oh, you are tapping into some birdie on the wall told you something. It is one of my dreams, and that hopefully is to write that book that looks at milestones of the perpetrator, which actually starts from childhood all the way up to adulthood. And it's grounded on the fact that crime surrounds learned behavior. It's not something that we were born in, or something that's a natural occurrence. So once we look at the perpetrator and we look at their particular lifestyle over the years, then you recognize that once it's learned behavior, it can be unlearned.
Okay.
Thanks for remembering.
Got you covered.
It's up to you now. Tell us a bit about your background.
As you know, Shamar Bernard, I was ex, what is a bar boy, ex prisoner, however you want to put it. But for me, coming out of life deep in crime and stuff like that, I just trying to show the young people and the people in my community that we could do things different. They've got different avenues, different choices we can make, you know,
Right.
to resolve matters and to deal with things within the community. And when it comes on to nurturing the young children of the community,
Right.
coming from the primary school level, you know, that we turn around, do things that are different. So I turn around my life so it could be an example to the younger ones coming up and the people in my community that something good could come out of Shamar
Right.
and the community.
Very glad
That's
to have your
positive,
voice
yeah.
on this panel today, sir.
Yeah.
Reverend, so speak to us. Tell us a bit about your background.
Sure. Thank you. And thanks again for having me. It's really a great pleasure to be here. I'm a Methodist minister, and I am currently serving as the bishop of the Methodist Church in the Southern Caribbean, which includes Barbados. There are 5 nation states that come under my purview as bishop. And I'm also superintendent minister of the James Street Spicetown Circuit, which comprises 10 congregations in Barbados, and pastor of the James Street Methodist Church. As a minister, I minister to people literally from the cradle to the grave. There has, however, been, for us as a church, a great emphasis on ministry among young people, and not just young people who are part of our faith community, but we serve young people across the board. And especially recently, recognizing the social challenges that we are faced with, we have moved our ministries among children and young people to another notch. I am personally very committed and passionate about ministry among young people and value the ways in which they can help to make our society a productive one. Very often people think of young people as the future. We take a very different approach. We see them as very much a part of the present reality. Yes, they may be future leaders, but many of them can offer leadership at various levels, even now. So I am really happy to be here and to engage this very important topic.
Okay, excellent.
That's actually an interesting way of looking at it, because as you said, rightly said, a lot of people just think of young people as the future. They actually don't think that they have anything to contribute from early, and that is absolutely incorrect.
Absolutely.
So that's why I actually want to come back to you, Shamar, now to find out a bit about what you think creates situations that draw the youth into, from your personal experience, into like a life of crime and that kind of stuff.
Sometimes it's be broken homes. Sometimes it's be friends, or you may have a friend that might not be living conditions might not be as good as yours, but tend to be always there for you. Tend to be always the shoulder you can lean on. So when he embark on certain things or going to do certain things, you believe that you should be there for he the same way. So from time to time, that tends to draw in a lot of youth, trying to be there for you know,
For the next person.
for the next person. You know,
Feeling a part of something.
Feeling a part of something. So I would say that the lack of certain things, sometimes educational challenges.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the constant highlighting of the negative
For sure.
in the community.
We actually did a podcast recently where we spoke about learning and stuff like that, and one of the people was basically saying if you invest in education, though, you could avoid some of the other things, right?
Correct.
Because everybody learns differently. Would you say your experience, you had any challenges in the school system?
Yeah, I could not read all during my primary school time. I could not read, and it was challenging, and the fretting and teasing
Right.
coming from your peers and stuff like that tend to put you in a shell or tend to get you quite aggressive. You understand? Because remember, you're young and you don't know how to deal you don't know to deal with that.
Without pressure.
Without pressure, you don't know to deal with that upon your shoulder. So you lashing out. You trying to find ways to keep people off for you. Maybe sometimes it might be even people that trying to help you.
Right.
You understand? And sometimes you might be even so illiterate that you can't acknowledge the help. You can't acknowledge that this boy trying to help you. You always feel that the slightest thing some boy telling you, they're pulling you down or they're trying to bring you down. But they don't know that they're trying to bring you to a level of awareness, acknowledgement, so that you could then turn around and move forward. So then you go on in a shell, an aggressive shell, to keep people off for you. You ain't smiling. You know what I mean? You ain't saying a kind word because you don't want that interaction with people. Or because you don't want them to know the secret whereby as you maybe can't read or you might not be the sharpest tool in your shed. So if we keep people off of me,
The main game.
they might not pick up. So they ain't gonna get nobody laughing at me or feeling that I was the latter tool in the shade. You know?
Okay, I get you.
And then, right, from your perspective, do you believe that sometimes instead of reacting, these adults know, instead of reacting, like just, we need to figure out exactly what's going on with each child instead of just lashing out at them?
Not only do I agree, and I want to thank Shamar for really sharing with us and reflecting as he did in terms of school, because we've become so reactive and responsive rather than being proactive. And here it is, if we were able, and I think it's there, it's just to have the eyes to look and see what is being played out. Because there's no reason, because it happened and it keeps on happening. As a child going through the school system and being a child in the arms of the adults, but you're also in the arms of other peers.
Right.
And you are also in the arms of your family or household. It may not necessarily be parent.
Correct.
Because I'm not even going to say you're coming from a two-parent household. No, Barbados has all mainly female-headed households. We know that the statistics on child abuse is up. Child neglect is also up. So you go to a school system where you do not have certain items that's expected for you to have. It's not the child's fault.
No.
The child being unable to read, and I'm happy that they've placed social workers in schools. We have the safety officers, and we also have school attendance officers who should be able to pick up, once allowed, to do more social work, because that's what's needed. Then that child who has a school report that's scoring a whole set of what would we call single digits.
Right.
Or you see the teacher's comments, who picks up on those comments? It's not just the person the child takes the report to. There should be somebody in school that can flag this particular child and do something about it. And I think that's where the social worker comes in. What Shamar did not mention, which I'm sure may be happening to others around him, is being hungry. I honestly feel that we've not done enough in terms of children being hungry at school, primary school meals but the transition to secondary school, where that support for the parents are not there, parents who may be unemployed. So I think at some point we really need to extend the discussion further, but this is definitely, as y'all have started and continue to build on it, then really and truly we can get this resolved to a better space where persons are happier.
That school meals thing is a thought I didn't even ever
Yeah,
thought of. But just not as soon as you say it makes a lot of sense.
But the thing is also too is we start the day without the school meals. So half the day gone.
Yes.
So imagine now how that child, if it is hungry or what's not, is feeling until it gets to 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock.
And at some point, we had the after school and the before school
Programs,
breakfast programs. There were a lot of children who would have been attending these programs because they did not have anything at all to eat.
Right.
Right. Reverend, any thoughts?
Yes, actually, a number of things that I want to reflect on. And Shamar has really brought home a number of the issues. Let me begin with the issue of school and learning disabilities. We, as Methodists, we have schools in other islands. We have given up our schools in Barbados. And recently, we have launched an initiative at transforming our Methodist schools, recognizing that the regular average way of doing school has resulted in a number of our Caribbean children being left behind, being termed dunce. And the issue is that every child learns differently,
For sure.
but every child can learn. And we have recognized that, and there are studies that have been done. There are theories that can be adopted to help children to learn at the point at which they're at. And we have done a lot of training with our teachers, a lot of training with our parents, so that we can really support each child. Yes, within the context of a class, but offer that kind of individual support. And we have already begun to see major, major differences in not just performances, but in the child's sense of their personhood, their self-esteem, etc. Because we do not have schools in Barbados, we decided that we are still a church serving this community, and we must still make some kind of intervention. And we recognize that an area where children have been failing in large percentage is in the area of math.
Right.
We have a great contact in Singapore, and I'm not sure if you know the Singapore story of having failed in math for many years, and they transformed how they have done math. Singapore is now among the top 3 countries in the world and have been for the longest time. One of the gurus in math, I call him the Michael Jordan of math, who has gone across the world and has done tremendous work, has written a number of textbooks. We brought him to Barbados so that he can teach teachers how to teach math. We actually brought him in twice because we are committed, knowing that every child can learn.
Right.
And what is the problem is our model. It's the approach that we take. And Dr. Barnard has been working with a number of teachers in Barbados. Yes, we did these workshops, but then we said we got to do more. We now have learning communities online where monthly Dr. Barnard, who is a math guru, meets with these teachers and continue to help them to be able to teach math. You know, one of the things that Dr. Barnard said that really has blessed me, and maybe if I had to do it all over again, I'll be far more prolific when it comes to math. He says a lot of people do not, he says math is a language.
Yeah, it is.
And a lot of people do not read math, they spell it. And you stand before children and you're spelling every word instead of reading, and still expect the child to be able to grasp and really develop. So that's one of the ways in which we are responding, because we know that when a child is able to do well academically, it lifts the child's self-image and it positions the child to begin to believe and hope that I can rise out of poverty. I can be something. Yeah. I am just as good as. So thanks for raising that. The other thing, if you'd allow me quickly, the issue of family, I don't think we can ignore, because that is foundational. And we have in our society a lot of broken families. And unless we are able to restore family life, with our best efforts, we're still going to come up short. And we have to be able to address that issue of family, recognizing that even though we talk about family, that the village still needs to raise the child. The African proverb, I am because we are. We are, therefore I am. And we have to do this together.
Right. Yeah. So now that we are talking about families and children and stuff like that, can y'all tell me what y'all believe the psychological and emotional toll being taken crime is doing to our children and our families in Barbados?
And I think, and not just I think, it's it's difficult to put a number, and I wouldn't even try to put a number to the impact, because all individuals, that child, that family is connected to something else, the community connected to organization. So what we say and look at in social work is that you're part of a system. You're part of, yes, I'm in it, but who I am, as Rev shared, my dear beloved Rev, Ubuntu, and as Shamar also mentioned, we're in this together. So the impact as relates to that child is really at all levels, whether it's the sibling, whether it is my friend, whether it's at school, whether it's impacting on our health, whether it's impacting in my type of entertainment, the impact is really, really wide. So for me and the social workers who are in the field, what we're seeing is also the impact as relates to our systems, like not just families, but unemployment, the lack of having particular resources to be able to live a certain quality of life. So very good question, and I think we can't seriously put it to a particular number because it impacts on each individual, each family, each child differently, and for some children, it may have absolutely no impact whatsoever.
Shamar, I wanted to come to you to follow on to that, to ask you, like, what is a day in the life like for a child in an environment like that? How would you?
These children frightened though. These children frightened. Amongst dealing with like certain challenges that I already got. You want certain things that I already got going on. Back to the schooling. You know what I mean? It's like you might have a child that can't really hear good or stuff like that. But they know after school he got come on out to the community, where a lot of other things going on. And he frightened. You want something, he ain't really want to go out there. He ain't really want to interact.
Right.
You want something. I began that all on these children frightened. Just taking the walk from home to school, they're frightened.
Right.
Getting on the bus, they're frightened.
Right.
You understand what I'm telling you?
Yeah, I get you.
Sometimes you the parents there with them, but they're still frightened because you know that them parents ain't in the dominant batch in the community.
Right.
So we still in fear. My mommy frightened. So it got final down to me. My daddy frightened. It got, you want to understand? Because straight there and combat certain orders that you getting. The children could then feel that mommy and daddy ain't feel safe. Mommy and daddy frightened. It playing on mommy and daddy mind. So it playing on we one too.
Right.
You want to understand?
Can I add to that in terms of some children may also feel a sense of guilt? Because if you think about it, some of the individuals who are perpetuating the crime are also families of children.
Right.
And here it is, once you're living in that type of lifestyle, there's also that level of feeling guilt, feeling who can I talk to, who do I utter and share my experiences with, knowing that my daddy or my mommy is engaging in that particular activity. And at the same time, recognizing that in some cases, sadly, children are also exposed to the same types of behaviors of that particular parent.
Right.
If I may add to that, and Jamal says that the children are frightened, and this may sound strange, but I am at least happy that in the face of crime, that the children are frightened, because my greater fear is desensitization.
I was about to ask that question.
And I am seeing a situation where children are becoming desensitized because they are surrounded with crime. They live it, they sleep it, they see it. They are engaged with it, though virtually, from the television shows to the games that they play.
Music.
the music that they listen to, and so there's this desensitization. And I had an experience some time ago where a child's mother died through gun violence, and the child was not moved by the reality of their death until the day of the funeral. At the funeral, the child asked the question, so when is she going to get up? When is she going to get up? Why is she not getting up now to go home? It's not funny anymore.
Wow.
Because this child has been raised by the television, by the cartoons, where things die and come back to life almost immediately. And the child was now devastated that this was not the typical television show. So desensitization is a matter that we have to watch very carefully. And I am happy when they're still fearful.
So how
Yeah,
important do y'all think the home should play in socialization and teaching young people how to handle conflict?
Before we move on,
Okay.
before you
Go ahead.
make a question, right?
Yeah.
to hang on,
Continue.
on what you said, right? The parents getting so further than the ban video games.
Oh,
The children for the children, but them ain't realizing that the video games so real, that it playing with each other's mind. So when he play the video game and he play a shooting game and he see he do so, and he do so, and then he see game over, you go again. He believing that that is how it is. That's how his structure is. But at the same time, the parent buy the game to keep you inside.
Yes.
To save you from what's going on outside. But not really knowing that them really, you understand, them
Cultivating,
feeding that, bringing that like a norm, you understand? So when you playing them games and stuff like that, you know, when you go and see certain things, or you embark and get involved in crime or doing certain things, you can see the gruesomeness from the games coming out now in the physical. You understand? As you said, where mommy getting up, you understand? But this is real life now. This is real.
Following on from you, Shamar, that's why I was actually pausing. I just thought this for a second because I had a story to share. Everybody knows that I am a skateboarder, and I used to live in St. Thomas, and we decided to build some skate ramps. So a lot of kids from the community would come out and see us skating and stuff. So it became a regular occurrence. A lot of kids would come out. It was only over time, as we started to develop relationships with the children, you would hear them speaking more openly. And this is years ago, so most of these aren't children anymore. But I will never forget one day I was there, and one of the kids who he seemed very promising. He could have probably become a world level skateboarder if he was given the opportunities. I remember hearing him speak to a friend saying he can't wait to shoot his first person. I remember hearing that, and I am the adult in the situation, so I don't feel fearful. I feel like, oh, these are like my little brothers and stuff. So I go and speak to them, but I could tell that his mind already at a place where he
just want to shoot somebody.
He ain't care. He would do it. And that's why I wanted to ask what they did.
Because he might get patterned. Maybe he probably playing game. He probably think, my son no brought the high jump record. But before before he did that, he was not outside jumping over the stick nor anything. He was in front of the TV on YouTube watching the jumpers and the GoPros and watching and the style and you understand. So it gone from where we go up there and you go a coach now and you with the coach and you actually go out there, you practicing these children in front of the TV and soaking it in and soaking
the good
in.
and the bad.
You understand? Soaking the good and the bad and perfecting it.
Right.
Perfecting it from there, you know.
Right.
So when they go now and practice it now, them done basically got the theory. So the practical thing that you understand. So that's what going on. These games when you play a game and the man explode. Well, you want to shoot some boy and whatever say that head explode. So you understand. So that's where it came from.
So let's go back to Aisha's question about
in terms of the
home.
socialization within the home and the families, and I think that's what's also bearing out here Because we're still talking about the child, but the child is living with whom? Yeah? Who's the children hanging out with? Who the interaction within the community. It takes a village to raise a child, but right now our villages have changed to imported communities because you don't know your neighbor like before. So get to know your neighbor. Where is the village? There's no longer the standpipe that we get to and talk with. The village now becomes our technology. So, there's a click away and I can interact and stuff. But as you mentioned, family, yes, it's critical. So any discussion in terms of socialization, don't just take the child, but also include the family with it. Yeah?
Shamar, I just want to ask you, what made you decide to change your life around, to pull your life around? And not only that, then to decide to be an example to other young people now.
After my incarceration and stuff like that, when I was incarcerated, as member tell you I can't read, but I learned to read off over time. But during the time of my incarceration, I tell myself this ain't what I want, this ain't this lifestyle and the lifestyle that I want. And people know so always tell me anything that you put your mind to, anything you decide to do, use perfect it though. Use things. You want something, so I said, look, I try this thing different. I want to get myself some CXCs. I want to get myself in position because I always had little small skills and trades. You want something, but I never had the paperwork, the certificate where you learn it. You want something. But I tell myself, all right, my time incarcerated, no, I'm going to let this be no waste time here now. I can get the certificates that I need. I can get the other certificates I need for my skills and trades and what's not. So when I step back over here now, I could do this thing different. I ain't want to be always coming back here with this warm bread and this hot water, this cold rice. You want to understand? Go on bed here, sit down here, no, different. You can skin this cat different. When you get back out there, use that time in there to put yourself in a position that when you step back out into society, that you could be a better person, you could do things different, you could, you know what I'm saying, see things in a different light. And then when I came home, my same son, mother passed away. Bam. This little boy ain't got nobody else. Not saying he ain't got another family, but he's not nobody's responsibility. He's mine.
Yeah.
So I can't do this in an outer jail thing now. You understand? I got to be an example for this little man. And not only for the little man, but he got friends that come in room. You understand? He interacting, he got school friends that come in room and stuff like that. Boys in neighborhood that then looking Zion daddy, thing. You understand? So you know what? I got to do this thing different. I got to turn around. I got to turn around my whole mindset, my whole level of thinking. And then when I look and see, that a lot of my friends gone. A lot of things that I went to them and tell them, let me do things that are different. Let me think, man, nah. Let me think, boy, can't turn on no boy. Most people want, and they're gone. You understand? But on my journey now, I turn around my life and I think I realize that the Father also to blind a lot of my enemies. You understand? So that I can embark on this journey and be the shining light and the beacon for not only my son, but the young man in my community too. You understand? Because if Sinister Sham could turn around his life and become Uncle Sham, you understand?
Right.
But we could do it too. It's like
That's awful.
Yes, very. And as we would say, sometimes the one Bible that anybody would read is how you live your life. So, I mean, that's a true testimony. And even in terms of knowing that your son's name is Zion, it's like, that sounds like daddy name him anyway, but over to...
Your son has an excellent name. My son is called Zion.
We're in a
So what about the church and the role in the community? What do you think can be done? You heard him mention technology, how technology has it. Is there any approaches that you think could be using like the mixture of technology or being in the community that is currently being explored?
Yes, certainly. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, I took notice of the fact that this society is changing, and it's changing rapidly.
Rapidly.
I saw the signposts, and I've lived in other territories that have had very high crime rate. I've lived through the process of getting there, and I saw the signs that eventually got us there. And when I started seeing the signs in Barbados that signaled that we're heading into some very dangerous waters, I said to the church, we have to act now. We cannot just gather people in our churches, preach to them, and feel that we have done,
Send them home.
and send them home and feel that we have fulfilled all righteousness. We have to find a way of effecting change in the wider society. And the best place to start if you want sustained growth of that change is among young people and children.
Yep.
So we started an initiative called Investing in the Next Generation, where I was literally asking the adults in our church to recognize that they're not going to be around forever. But after we are gone, we should have so invested in other persons that our values and the principles that we have lived by will continue to shape the kind of society that we would have. And the appeal was heard. And so we started this initiative, as I said, called Investing in the Next Generation, where we said we're going to train young people in various musical instruments. And so we are at the moment trying to refurbish a building that is close to the James Street Church called the Heard Memorial to be an academy for music and the arts, so that young people from across Barbados, doesn't matter who they are, where they have come from, they can come to the academy. They can learn to play a musical instrument or several musical instruments, or get involved in other arts, dance, drama. And a lot, while they're doing that, we're coming alongside them, not to make members, not to evangelize, not to convert them to Methodism,
But to build a community.
but to build community and to help them to become the best persons that they can become. We are bringing mentors, we're bringing counselors along. And while we are doing that, it gives us an opening into their families. Because after journeying with these children, and we recognize certain devious behaviors, we can then reach out to the families, and then being able to now have deeper conversation with the families. We can now not just help the child, but we're helping the family to become a better, closely knitted family that raise children who can succeed in life. It's really a tremendous program. We have had the involvement of a number of top-level musicians in Barbados. Every summer, every Christmas break, every Easter, we have a camp. And then we are now going to start a Saturday program, so that the young people don't have to wait until school goes on break, but that they can come ever so often and sharpen their skill. And as I said, we're already beginning to see tremendous success from this program, and we're really hoping to open it far more. Just one bus to Bridgetown from anywhere in Barbados.
Right.
And so this is why I think this program is really going to gain momentum, because it is not just for persons in the city, but wherever you are in Barbados.
And as Shamar said, sometimes these children just want to be a part of something.
Absolutely.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
Because that's what I was
Be
going to move
part.
into next. The
Okay.
solutions.
Yes, because as our bishop shared in terms of what the church is doing, and also as Shamar is doing with his son, and even being a concerned parent, and his self-awareness and his self-talk and his motivation, then what comes across then to me is that we need to collaborate. You know, I've said before, the school cannot do it by themselves. The church can't do it nor the individuals in communities. So where can we really come together? There are very many successful stories. And once we're talking about crime, and I think we recognize it's just a minority we're speaking about. It's like that bad apple that has the ability to, yes, destroy a whole bunch, but it's still just one apple. So can we take that apple out and do something else with the apple in the right hands and with the right group of individuals? So in terms of solutions, I know what we're thinking of is let's do some research. There are a lot of persons who have done, you observe the behavior, you're concerned about the behavior, you have efforts being done in community by the church, by families, by schools. I mean, we have the Brownies, we have the Scouts, we have the even sports. So can we literally come together, seriously sit down in terms of doing some in-depth analysis, data collection, and I will focus on the child who at primary school. Yes, we start at primary school because there are certain triggers you will know. Why is this child coming to school late? Why is this child absent? Why is this child academically may not be performing? And we know there is literally 7 different types of intelligences. Academics may not be yours, but you may be an excellent footballer. So how can I teach you through that? And I know our Ministry of Education has also tried different blends of our curriculum to accommodate different learning styles. However, I would emphasize the idea of let's build out a research focus that says that child no longer has to be suspended. Come talk to my social worker. Come talk to the social worker who will look over your school reports, look over what's happening within the school system as well as what's happening at home. And also where there's an absentee father, what's happening that he is absentee father. Is it deliberate, or is it that the mother is preventing or hindering that particular access? But the child still longs to have a relationship with the dad. So there's a need for the research, and obviously a holistic type of research, which I'm hoping now that we have the Ministry of People Empowerment with responsibility for crime prevention, that type of thinking also be engaged. So we're preventing, but at the same time, for the long haul, be able to follow the science as we did with COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to cycle back to Shamar.
In my time, right? In my time, we would, you see 2 children, you be looking abroad, man, get in the gloves, let them box it out. We ain't dealing with nine, so we dealing with communication. We dealing with sitting down and talking before even get to that. You understand?
Right.
From doing anger management classes, I learned that sometimes somebody might be angry and upset, but what you say, the manner in which you say in, could diffuse the whole situation.
Yeah.
You understand? Don't let me turn to the gloves. Don't let me turn to the firearm, the knife on them. So let me start with communicating. Let me teach these young children how to communicate with one another. How to go and say, well, look, I didn't like that the fact that you do this or you do that. You understand? Let me teach them to identify that he ain't having a good day today. You understand?
You don't always have a good day.
You understand? You don't always have a good day.
And
He
you
might
need to
come to the farm.
pause.
He might come to the farm today a little upset. You understand? Let me teach you children to identify with that.
What's the problem?
What's the problem? Saying with that normally he instead of saying, "Oh, get on sort of day out." Might be the boy that easy said and said, "This ain't what going on."
What's going on? Yeah. This ain't you.
This ain't you.
What happening?
This ain't you. When you eating that this morning,
Mm-hmm.
you understand? So before we get to the grabs and things, let me teach the children, because in the ghetto is always be, well, they don't face it out. No weapons, they nothing. Let me talk it out.
Yes,
Correct.
yes,
Let me
yes.
teach them to talk and identify that everybody is not going to have a good day. Everybody is not going to agree. You understand?
And you
But
could
that
agree
don't-
to disagree.
Correct. And that don't need to bring a big division between us. You understand? The animosity and the vengeance and anger that your father might got against my family for something from the past. We don't have to carry that on. You understand? Let me show them that them had anything, but me and you could rub shoulders together
For sure.
and achieve a common goal, a positive common goal. Be willing and ready to highlight the positive things that they're doing, because a lot of the negative is get highlight. When they come back, a man get over firearm, he go on jail, he come home, you give money, you give this, you give that, he feel he do something, but that's something negative, you know, do, buddy.
Yeah.
You understand?
Talk it, talk.
You understand?
I wanted to ask you about that, about incarceration. I heard you mention it before. It doesn't sound like anything pleasant, but you think incarceration serves as a deterrent to any of the youth?
For
these
some,
days?
for some, but remember that the prison system is like the block. You get up, you bed, you eat some, you sit down there, you make some mingle, start a couple movies, till food come the afternoon. You understand? The same thing over and over.
Right.
So everybody know that come a structure you bring to sit down by the block. You come back home, you sit down by the block amongst your peers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I have programs in there, but
Yeah.
in everybody that in there upon rehabilitation,
Right.
in every officer that believe in rehabilitation,
Right.
you understand? And you within yourself, God got that strong mindset that you want different for
For
yourself.
yourself. Correct.
Right.
You understand? So like prison, it is a give and take. And you gotta know what you want for yourself, because if you want to learn crime, prison can teach you crime. Whatever crime you want to learn. But there's also programs in there. As I said, I come up with CXCs. Principle of business, grade
Excellent.
1 with distinction.
Excellent.
You understand?
Excellent.
There's programs in there that if you really want to change, I did a construction course with Gravel Phillips, and the other day I got a call for a job, and you know that I went to this job and I was over here doing one job and Gravel Phillips was over there doing assessment by another thing, and he had feel good. Shamar, I have feel good
Yeah.
to know
Yeah,
that what I learned from Gravel,
And you did.
I come out here now and I using it
Yeah.
to make an honest dollar.
Yeah.
You understand? And not only use it to make honest dollar. Gravel see
see
me.
me.
Your
Yeah.
mentor, your
You
mentor.
understand?
Yeah.
Gravel see me. You say so
Right.
like prison. It's people say about waste time, but in waste time, you just go civil and snatch the positive and the opportunities to better yourself.
Yeah.
People in the right mindset count here. I want the youth to know when I could talk before it get to that.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand? Because a lot of these problems is be things that could be taught out. You understand? But you listening to other talk and
Correct.
other thing that, and then it blow the proportion.
Right.
Whole thing blow the proportion. Two children that ramble together, play football together, was in same class together, maybe was even best friends.
For sure.
Correct.
You understand?
Yeah, I get you.
Why
Oh,
you
well,
all
we got that.
find it so hard to sit down and talk out the
Correct.
problem or identify something wrong with the pastor today.
Yeah.
You understand? Passing yourself. So you know what you can do when they see you there by yourself, you can pump span. What's going on with you today, man? I see you snap at me, you snap at you. Let me talk before it get to physical,
Yeah,
before it
yeah.
get to the gloves, before
Correct.
it get to the guns. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let me highlight when a performer not that, when a man not having all the way to the finals. But we
you do
acknowledge it.
something.
Yeah.
Yep.
The community acknowledge it, and for that we will give you some sort of incentive, some sort of thing to let you know what you understand?
Yeah,
You
we
do
got you, we
something
backing you.
correct.
Yeah.
You see the old lady coming down there when I gonna help shoot the bikes. Good work, fellas. Come in.
Right.
Hold this $2, hold
Yeah.
this $3.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah, I
Them-
want
them
the
kind of
Reverend
things.
to touch on
Yeah,
in
and
terms of the solutions in
there's
the
a-
community.
right,
Yeah.
there's something to plug there too.
Certainly, I agree
Yeah.
with the collaboration. I find that many organizations are doing very good work. The government is also doing good work. Where the missing link is that we are not talking to each other. We are not sharing best practices. We are not helping to build out each other's capacity. And I think that is certainly, and I'm really happy to meet Shamar.
Shamar.
The invitations are going to come because I think that your story and your insights can really help our young people to better navigate life. I'll also say, in terms of solutions, ill discipline breeds ill discipline. And while we are trying to combat the issue of crime and violence, I've noticed that there are some fundamental things that we are turning a blind eye to. There's a time when Barbados used to be one of the most disciplined communities in the Caribbean. And as a result, you saw the low crime rate. You've noticed that the crime rate has risen. Ill discipline has also risen and has gone rampant. I am now seeing people driving and turning in from a side of the road that there is a clear, solid line. And one person does it and get away with it, and everybody think that they can do it and get away with it. People hardly use the pedestrian crossing.
People don't understand that. All these little things will cause any problems.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, the bus culture that has gone down the road, that we have to pull back these things that do not seem to have any relation to crime and violence, but they actually do. And if we can get these little things right, what we are doing is that we are raising a disciplined society. If we have an ill-disciplined society, then people are going to graduate from what seems subtle and insignificant to trying something bigger that they think that they can get away with. And I really believe that we cannot begin to tackle crime and violence unless we deal with these little, so-called little insignificant things.
I hate to be the person to say that we gotta wrap up, but this conversation is thing. But I want everybody to give us their final thoughts, like any messages you would like for our audience, that how they can get involved, how they can help out. The floor is over to you guys.
Thanks. I can't believe it's that. I can't believe it's really. Anyway, it's that time, and really and truly, thank you for the time, because I know the time spent here really goes even beyond the hour to whoever is listening. Then in their home, in their wherever, then we planted the seed basically. For me, in terms of my final thoughts, not only have I enjoyed being with you both, my strong gentlemen. We need to have a more caring society. Caring, loving, kind. I look out for you. If I'm seeing something that's happening, say something. Don't think it's up to the police alone. You are the police as well. You are the eyes on the ground. And I also want to say that we should plant some social workers, more social workers within our prison system. Because as Shamar shared, time to talk it out and know what is out there. The social worker within the prison system that can point you and create those programs and projects to give more even within that community. And of course, as I started, in relation to white social workers, because we not only have the heart in terms of hope and building and helping, but we really want to empower and make a difference.
Okay. Shamar, with you.
We want to see, we want this point hit home to, we got, as the pastor said, we got to stop turning up blind eye to the little small things that finance and these things. You understand? Because if a group of youngsters go on TV 11 sheet and sell them to whoever I want, pinpoint the body, sell them to whoever. And them know these youngsters ain't got no sheet. And then buy these 11 sheet. You understand? That is something looking like near $1,500. $1,500, $700 to $1,000 is a box of shots. You picking sense? You want to sign where you going here?
Sure.
Yeah.
You want to sign? When you got these people coming around in the neighborhood, want give you a TV for gold and this thing for gold, then the ink bar the snipe on your block and say, well, listen to me, man. If you bring XYZ for me, give you raw cash. And you carry raw cash and you carry these items and give them. And you see these people take a heat torch and heat this thing so I melt it down with her block. Giving you the mindset that, look, she can't consider this hers or he can't consider this his because don't he can't identify it. You understand? So that part I gotta worry about. I got kind of ID card and nothing. But again, it's raw cash finance that I could go and buy shots, buy this, buy that, hire a car. So these are the small things that going on. Wrong be that we think we seeing hey, laughing and kiki about right. That going on. I tell you, my man going on my ground and report his thing and go and sell it. And the man know he ain't got no ground. You understand? This finance is what financing a lot of these things. The drug man don't really want the voice going on in the neighborhood, you know, because then the police in the neighborhood and he money slow down. So if he could do some pull finance, know that you can be able to buy 10 shots or 15 shots or whatever. But they know you got the mark coming. You know that gonna make that little go to that little go you $1,500. The mark come and collect these shit from you and you $1,000. He know give you finance. You want to say he know give you organization or when a little giddy hey boys the finance to get what when I want. To deal with the nonsense that when the dealing with, you know. So these are small things, right? Need to get a look at and stamp out. There's a lot more too, but let me just start with them too there. I see it. If I make sense, you know what I mean?
I follow you.
Yeah, you gotta cut that finance, man.
Agree with you.
Over to you, Reverend.
Yes. I think one of the things we have to bear in mind is that crime and violence is not just issues among poor people and persons living in the so-called ghetto or villages. Crime is also an issue in the heights and the gardens. Crime is also an issue among the rich. Crime is an issue at every level of society. And if we are going to meaningfully be able to bring the issue under control, there has to be a multifaceted approach where we are targeting several groups at the same time. I believe that the church needs to play a significant role in this. The church is one of the few organizations that can bring everybody together. In your congregation, you have the rich and the poor, the educated and the uneducated, the willing and the unwilling. And if we therefore are able to bring so many persons together, I think the church can have a much greater impact on curbing crime and violence and giving people a sense of hope and helping persons to live with a sense of dignity and worth. The church is the only organization in the world that doesn't belong to its members. It belongs to everyone. And therefore, I'm making this appeal for the church, not only to say we have open doors, but for us to ensure that our doors are really open and be willing and ready to meet people at every point of their need. Too often we say to people, come up and meet us where we are, and we are not willing to go down and meet people where they're at. And I think that needs to be the disposition of the church, going down and meeting people and then journeying with people to where God would have them be. So again, thanks for having me. It really has been a pleasure being a part of this conversation.
Thank you guys
so
much for being here. This was a very powerful conversation, and I hope that our audience is going to take some of this and let's start working towards finding these solutions.
Communication. Communicating more, for sure.
Thanks for listening to Just a Conversation. If this episode made you think, smile, or even pause for a second, don't forget to follow the show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune in. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Just search GIS Barbados. Every follow, share, or message brings more voices to the table. Until the next time, let's keep the conversation going.